Hey, 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 you know what it is. You know where you is. Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It is that time. It is that place. Welcome, welcome, welcome into the I Am the Possible podcast experience. Yes, this is the place where possibilities become perspective, guys. Welcome once again into the I Am the Possible podcast experience, aka the I Am the Possible universe, aka the I Am the Possible University. Guys, thank you so much for showing up once again, rocking with me once again for another weekly episode and experience. As always, I'm so excited and so blessed to be sharing a moment with you all. I want to pause for the cause before we jump into anything else. You know what that is. You are the reason I do what I do. Thank you so much for every interaction, every download, every share, every subscription, every mention, every recommendation, every email, every question, every comment. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I love you. And I am praying for you. I am believing in you. Guys, let's jump into this today. Today, I want to talk to those of us who are existing, but you're not living. Life is a drag. Life is something that you find, I don't know how to really put it, but I'm going to find a way to put it. You're not excited about life. There's no zeal. There's no pop. There's no excitement. There's no enthusiasm. You feel me? The engagement that you're experiencing or the level of engagement that you're experiencing in life is at an all-time low. You're just doing life. And this is what's even worse. You've been convinced that that's normal. And I want you to know something. Existing is not normal. Just enduring life, that's not normal. And it's not okay. Now, before I go any further, I want to preface this because the last thing you need is more pressure. The last thing you need is for somebody to tell you, get your stuff together. I was about to say another word, but get yourself together, kick it into gear, pick yourself up. Sometimes that kind of motivation, that kind of inspiration, it's the last thing we need because we're in a funk, we're in a ditch. And we sometimes, those of us who love to inspire others, motivate others, encourage others, we think that those messages are always applicable sometimes. And they're not. They're not always applicable. I want to tell you the truth, but I want to tell you the truth in a way that you can receive it. I want to speak it in love. I want to speak it in and through empathy. I want you to know that I've been there too. I know what it means to be in a emotional and a mental slump. I know what it means to feel, like I'm just going through the motions and life is kind of blah, right? It's become kind of just something that, I'm here. It's another day. To be honest, so what? It's just another day. I've been in that space and I've been in that place. So before I jump into anything that I want to share today, I just wanted to pause and let you know that I feel you and that I understand it and that where you are is valid. Where you are is okay. The fact that you feel this way, in truth, it's not okay because of the things that I want to share with you. It's not okay that life has gotten you to that space. It's not okay that the things that you've experienced have gotten you to that place. It's not okay that things that people have done to you and said to you have made you feel that type of way and has contributed to getting you in that space. That's not okay. But I want you to also hear at the same time, simultaneously, where you are, it's okay. Don't panic. Don't cut me off. Don't turn away. It's okay. It's a part of the journey. It's a part of the season. Seasons change. And when you're on a journey, you're not always in the same space. You're not always in the same place, whether it's emotional, physical, spiritual, physically. Like, you are always evolving, emerging, moving, and you're never necessarily in the same place all the time for too long. So it's okay. I hope that I've explained that well enough. I hope that you hear my heart, because I want to be sensitive, and I want to be loving and caring, and I want to be respectful of what you're going through, because we all go through it from time to time. Today I'm encouraging you. Tomorrow I'll need your encouragement, right? It's that kind of thing that kind of, it's like the mystery of life. One day, one person can be pouring it on and saying, come on, man, let's get it together. And the next day, the same person that was just telling you that is now in need of that same kind of encouragement. So I just don't want you to hear any judgment or criticism. What you're experiencing, that lull, it's not okay, because you were given life to experience the fullness of life. But at the same time, in respect to seasons and our human experience and our human journey, it is okay. Does that make sense? Okay, guys, let's jump into it. Today, I want to share some things that I hope will meet you where you are and speak to your heart, and just, bring some awareness, perhaps even a little bit of awakening, something to consider, something to process in that space. And before I jump into the content, let me also just say something. You don't have to feel rushed. You may be grieving in a certain way. You may have had something recently done to you or said to you, and sometimes we want to rush back, but we haven't healed. We haven't truly processed it. We haven't truly allowed it to do its work on us. And so none of this was in my notes. None of this was planned. Just going with what I am inspired to say right now in this moment. So don't rush the process. You'll heal, you'll recover, you'll bounce back in due time. But take your time. I know that's not something that many will say or share in today's culture. Taking our time is usually frowned upon. We want to be heroic. We want to be superheroes. We want to just recoup and recover overnight. And it doesn't always happen that way. But yet, I want to encourage you. All right. So let's jump into it, guys. I got a slide today that I want to share. And if you're watching me on the tube, and you should be watching me on the tube, then you can see my slides and see what I am sharing to get this full experience. All right. First thing that I want to start off with is the question. And this is the question of the day, right? Do you feel alive? That is the question of the day. Do you feel alive? Here, I'm just kind of jumping through some of these. Let me hide this. All right. Just want to make sure that we're looking good. Let me come back to it. Okay, here we go. All right. Do you feel alive? That's the question. And we've kind of already started to kind of dive into it. If this episode is for you, it's likely that you're not feeling very alive. You're enduring life, you're existing, right? But you're not living, and you're not feeling that fullness. Certainly not the life to the full or to the abundant that that we know that Christ came to demonstrate and to provide and to show us and to be an example of, right? So I kind of had this question kind of queued up as an introduction, but as I just explained, the introduction that I was led to start with kind of took us down a different direction, and that's okay. That's okay. This is still the question. Do you feel alive? And maybe it's a question that you can ask yourself. Do I feel alive? The mind is hardwired in a way that it provides us an opportunity to reap, so to speak, the answers to the questions that we sow into it. Questions are like seeds. You ask yourself a question, it goes into the soil. The seed of the question is sown into the soil or the fabric of the mind, and the mind will yield, the mind will grow, the mind will produce for you an answer. It's hard coded, hard wired to be for you an answering system. It answers you. And many times we're asking ourselves the wrong questions, and so we get the wrong answers. But the better we get at asking questions, aka sowing seeds into the soil of the mind and the heart, then the better we can get at getting and reaping the right answers. So do I feel alive? That's the question that we're going to start with. All right. The first thought that I wanted to share with you today. There's a major difference in being alive and feeling alive. And again, we've kind of already covered some of these things. That introduction that I gave, I believe covered like the first 2 or 3 slides. It was just in my heart. But let's go through the steps here. There's a major difference in being alive and feeling alive. To be alive just means that you're breathing. It just means that your heart continues to pump blood through your veins into all of the organs within your body. But to feel alive, what we've been purposed to do, is something totally different. And so this is where the problem exists for many of us today. We've been conditioned to believe that just being alive is enough, when perhaps it's not. Because our lives have a purpose, and that purpose will always be a form of a contribution to our personal satisfaction and the contribution to the public success of something else, right? Whatever you have been purposed to do, it will be a contribution. It is a contribution, and it serves those 2 purposes. It will be for the purpose of your personal satisfaction and for some sort of public or collective success. That's what your contribution does, and that's what your purpose is for. Nothing exists. I'm drinking coffee this morning. This cup was created to hold liquids or to hold something so that it can be carried. But this particular cup, this hydro flask, right? I have hot coffee in this thing, and this thing can stay hot for hours at a time. This cup has a purpose, right? And so this is just one example of the fact and the truth that anything that exists has a purpose to serve itself and others, right? This flask, because of the design and because what it continues to be, it continues to serve the purpose of keeping hot things hot. And then to me, it contributes to my, whatever you want to say, to my enjoyment, to my happiness, to my caffeine addiction, right? The list goes on and on and on. I only wanted to share that because I wanted to remind you that you have a purpose. And maybe you haven't heard that in a while, but you have a purpose, and your purpose is to serve and support the success of something else. And in doing so, it serves and supports your personal satisfaction. And this is a part of why feeling alive is so important, because that is AKA for a sense of satisfaction in your life. And your creator was intentional and desires that you be satisfied in your life. I know some have been told and sold on the idea that God created us to just suffer and just push through and sacrifice and yada, yada, yada. And you know, that's a part of this overall thing called life. But there's also a part of it called enjoyment and enthusiasm and excitement. And that's a part of the experience as well. And I think for some of us, we've left that part out. So let's continue here. I have another thought that I want to share with you. There is a major difference between experiencing life and having life be a part of your experience. Have you ever considered that? Have you ever thought about that? It was something that I believe God gave me as I was preparing for this moment. There's a major difference between experiencing life and having life be a part of your experience. And this is where I want to go with this today. I want to talk about life. What gives you life? I'm not talking about life in the existence. I'm talking about life in the experience, what you feel, what's going on the inside. Remember, you are living on the inside. What you feel on the inside is determining your quality of life. I can give you $1 million, but if you still feel like crap, your quality of life is crap. I can put you in a mansion. I can put you in the best car, in the best neighborhood. I can give you the best family. I can give you the best job, the best career. I can give you the best of the best of the best of the best of everything material and physical and tangible. But if the intangible part of you is not satisfied, then your quality of life is not satisfying. Does that make sense? There are so many multimillionaires that commit suicide, so many miserable millionaires living in a country built on capitalism and built on wealth and built on greed. And you would think that because you have access to all of these things, that you would be on the top of the world. No, that's not reality. Reality is that the reality within you determines the reality that you experience. And so we gotta understand that if we want to improve, if we want to get out of the funk, if we want to get unstuck, if we want to get out of this depression even, then we have to work on investing on the life that is within us. It is about discovering what gives you life. It is about determining ways in which you can engage in that. And it is about deciding to move forward and to give yourself permission to be about what gives you life. Because when you tap into what gives you life, then you're going to tap into the greatest contribution you can possibly make. You can call it your gift. You can call it your talent. You can call it your promise. You can call it your genius. You can call it your thing. Whatever you want to name it and frame it, because I call it multiple different things depending on who I'm teaching and what I'm teaching. But at the end of the day, your creator has given you something. It's woven within the very DNA and the fabric of your very being. And when you tap into that, when you find out what gives you life, then you find out what gives life through you and life to you. And now you got the best of both worlds. Now you're contributing to the success of others and the satisfaction of yourself. That's what I've been talking about. So there's a major difference between, I'm just experiencing life. I'm just existing. And then having life, that thing that cuts the light bulb on for you, that thing that gets your heart pounding a little harder, that thing that gets you breathing a little deeper, that thing that gets the hair on the back of your neck crawling, that thing that wakes you up in the morning, that thing that won't allow you to go to sleep, that thing that you look forward to, that you anticipate, that you long for. When you tap into that thing, now life is a part of your experience. And that's what wakes me up. The fact that I can be a part of helping you to identify what that is. That wakes me up. Can you hear it in my voice? Can you see it on the screen? This is what wakes me up. The opportunity to partner with you, to come alongside you, to help you on your journey of discovering and determining and deciding on your life. Yeah. Right? You deserve to discover it. You deserve to know what it is and to fully engage with it. You deserve that. Here's why. Let's get spiritual. Come on. Let's get spiritual. Here it is. The call. This is taken from Matthew 4:18. All right. It says, one day Jesus was walking along the shore of the Sea of Galilee. He saw two brothers, Simon, also called Peter, and Andrew, throwing a net into the water. For they fished for a living. They were fishermen. This is what they did. This is what they were engaged in. This is what they do. Jesus called out to them, come, follow me, and I will show you what? How to fish for people. And they left their nets at once and followed him. Let me be crystal clear about something. I am drawing from this text. I am not preaching this text in context. Okay? I'm not preaching this scripture in context. That's for the pulpit. That's for a certain time. What I'm doing is I'm using this scripture as an illustration, as an example. So I just want to be very clear to all of my religious folks, to all of my Christians out there. I am not trying to preach this as if it is a fast set rule. I am using this as an example of an instance, of a moment, to illustrate a larger point. Jesus recognized and respected what they were already doing. If you want to know what gives you life, you don't have to discover something new. You only have to call forth what you already do. It's not in something new. It's in what you already do. I know it rhymes, so remember it. The mind likes to remember things that rhyme. Your life, that life-giving thing, it's not in discovering something new. It's in discovering what you already do. This is the Christ, Jesus. If it's good enough for Jesus, why wouldn't it be good enough for you? Jesus is saying, listen, man, come follow me. I'm not going to ask you to do something you ain't already doing. Why would I do that? I don't even know how old these brothers was, but I'm just kind of imagining in my mind. Jesus is like, dude, you already too old to like pivot and switch gears. Like, you already do what you do. Let me just show you how to do what you do on a different level. Let me show you how to do what you do for a whole bigger, greater purpose and contribution. I'm going to take what you already do, what you're already good at, what you're already about, what you're already entrenched in, what's already a part of your life, what's already a part of your DNA, what's already a part of your flow. I'm going to take your flow and elevate it. I'm going to take what you do and elevate it. And there's no difference between Jesus's approach and method than ours. Jesus was walking along the shore. He says he saw, he recognized, he acknowledged, he looked at. You feel me? Simon and Andrew. All we have to do is look at, recognize, acknowledge ourselves. And for many of us, we've been taught, we've been conditioned. I too, until Eric came into my life. Shout out to Eric Brown. I mean, God bless his soul. Rest in peace, rest in paradise, rest in heaven, however you want to frame it. That dear brother told me what I was. And oh my God, he met me where I was and called out, Treveal, you are a teacher. The 5 words that changed my life. I tell that story over and over and over. It was the catalyst. And I was fortunate enough to have Eric call it out and point it out to me. But not everybody has an Eric. That's why I said I ain't trying to preach this in context, because I'm not trying to leverage this as a hard, fast rule. It may look different for you. It may come different for you. I don't know how it will come, but I promise you this. If you will engage with this, if you will ask these questions, if you will search within yourself, you will discover what that thing is for you that gives you life. And it is not a one-time fix-all. It is not some magic trick. It's not some genie in a bottle. But I promise you, as it has blessed my life, transformed my life, when you latch a hold of what gives you life, when you latch down on it, when you find it, when you take hold of it, when you possess it, when you know it, when you accept it, it will just keep bringing you up. It'll just keep bringing you out. It'll just keep helping you to your feet. Because again, we were created with purpose. And a part of the purpose is the contribution that we are to make. And in making the contribution, what are we doing? We're serving and supporting the success of someone else. And we are serving and supporting the satisfaction of self. It is the greatest win-win of all time. And in that partnership, that win-win, then we are contributing to the collective betterment of society. Because now our communities are improved, workspaces are improved, families are improved. You feel what I'm saying? It's a win-win-win. Everybody wins when you tap in to what gives you life. Just got a couple more slides, and then we're done. All right, question. Got a couple questions for you. Here we go. And these are the questions that you ask yourself. I'm putting it as in I'm speaking to you, but you can write these down or take a screenshot, and you can ask these questions of yourself. And these questions will help you get on the right track, on the right path. Again, this is a podcast episode experience. This is not a full masterclass. This is not a full course. This is not a full workshop. This is not a full deal. So we can only share so much, chop up so much, discuss so much. But it's a great start. And you know how I get down. You guys can always reach out to me, email me, ask questions in the comment sections, right? Tap in, reach out, iAMthepossible.com. If you want to engage further, if you have questions, if you're interested in coaching, if you're interested in bringing me in, if you are someone within a organization that needs someone to come in to speak, to coach, to train, whatever it is. If you are a individual and you're stuck in life and you're like, I need somebody that's going to help me to move forward, to get unstuck, to get out of this situation. Whoever you are, whatever the situation is, again, we're limited on time within a podcast episode, but I am here to serve and support your success. And so please reach out to me. Okay, questions. Here we go. Number 1, have you discovered what gives you life? So your question to yourself is, have I discovered what gives me life? Maybe you have. Maybe you haven't. But that's where you want to start. What gives me life? What is that thing? And maybe that was the first question, right? Because if you haven't discovered it, then your next question really is, what gives me life? What is that thing that I can do and never get paid for it and be totally okay? What is that thing that I can do and no one's around and I'm totally okay? What is that thing that I don't have to get recognized for, but I just love and enjoy doing it? What is that thing that gives me a sense of meaning and purpose and fulfillment? What is that thing that keeps calling me and nagging me and bugging me, and I just keep finding a way to invest my time and my resources in doing that thing? What is it? It's a great place to start. Number 2, have you determined where you can engage in this contribution? Remember, what gives you life will represent a contribution. And it's not a hard contribution where you're like, oh, now I got to learn how to do something. I got to give up something. I got to give up something. No, 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 no. I've been teaching on this podcast episode for the last 20 or so minutes. Does this seem hard to you? Do you think I'm struggling? Do you think this is hard for me to do this? A lot of this is just out of my heart. These slides are limited in what's on them. I'm speaking to you. I'm right. And so for me, because I know that my contribution, I know that what gives me life is communication and edification of humanity, right? And so I know that my thing is to help you to improve what you see in yourself and to help you to improve what you say to yourself. I'm very clear about that contribution. I'm very clear about what gives me life, what wakes me up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, right? So it's not going to be some drudged, rough, oh, now I got to do this. Now I got to give up more, because some of you may be in that space and place where you're like, yo, I'm burnt out. I'm wore out. You mean I got to give more? I got to do more? See, but this giving and this doing is aligned with purpose. So it's going to be effortless. You're going to love it. You're going to enjoy it, right? It's going to be an enjoyment, right? Number 3, have you decided to do it? Have you made the decision to find a way to do it? To not keep putting things off till tomorrow. Tomorrow's not promised. All you have is right now. As we like to say, yesterday was history. Tomorrow's a mystery. All you truly have is the now. I read yesterday somewhere, and it really sobered me up. He said, I don't know if it was like a post or something online, but basically it said there are people who had plans for today, and they didn't make it. Like, it was speaking of like yesterday, like, people make plans for tomorrow, but some of us aren't going to see tomorrow, myself included. I don't know, right? That's what I desire. That's what I pray for. Long life and, days that are enjoyable, but they're not promised. No one knows the day or the time, right? So have you made the decision to stop procrastinating, to stop putting it off, to stop waiting? Because you don't have an unlimited supply of time. And while some may claim to know what's on the other side, they may claim to know where we're going from here, I don't get wrapped up in that. I haven't been there. I have an idea, like I have a personal conviction, but in terms of trying to prove it or trying to convince other people, it's not my thing anymore. But what I can tell you is, for what we know of today and what we know of this life on this side of reality, on this side of life, you got right now, you got today, you got a shot. It's just finding a way, deciding to plug into that thing that gives you life each and every day. To give yourself permission to plug into what gives you life. I hope and pray that makes sense, guys. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay, guys. We don't have to continue existing and just kind of putting in our time. We can actually start living our life to the full. Jesus didn't call us to do something or to be something that we're not already doing and being. So we don't have to try and do that as well. This is about discovering. This is about finding what's already there. And then giving yourself permission to live in and through that life. Finding ways to incorporate that life in your family, on your job, in your church, in your community, in your circles. As an example, as I close, remember, I was shown, it was revealed to me that I am a teacher. One able to take information, even complicated, complex information, and form it and fashion it in such a way that I can then successfully, effectively transfer that information, those ideas to others in a simple way, in a way that they can understand. I do that in my family, with my wife, with my children, not being a helicopter, not being overbearing, not being a micromanager of anything, but by the grace of God, when given the opportunity, discerning the proper time and space and place to do so, I teach. I teach my wife. I teach my children. There's a million creative ways to do that. Education doesn't look one way. Within my church, whether it's from the pulpit or classes that I offer or mentorship that I engage in with members of the church, on my job, communicating with business partners and stakeholders, senior management. The list goes on and on and on. Whether it's through the books I write, the podcast episodes I create, the keynote messages that I deliver, the workshops and trainings that I facilitate, whatever it is, I'm going to keep doing and being in those various spaces and places what gives me life. Because if it gives me life, then that's going to be my position of promise. The idea and the indication that something is going to be successful. And it has proven to be so. I am most successful and I am most satisfied when I am teaching, when I am educating, when I am informing, when I am presenting. So what is it for you? I'm just sharing my life as an example so that you can then reflect on your life and ask these questions of yourself and for yourself. What is it for me? And how will I and how can I plug these things in to the various spaces and places in which I find myself? I hope and pray that this has made sense. That's it, guys. I love you guys. I'm praying for you guys. I'm believing in you guys. Until next time, remember, genius is your design. Greatness is your destiny. God loves you. I love you. Be encouraged.